The dream of Mars is painted in heroic strokes, crimson landscapes, humanity's next giant leap, a second home among the stars. We watch rovers send back triumphant photos and read billionaires' blueprints for utopian cities. But that glossy trailer hides a very different movie. The reality of Mars isn't just hard, it's hostile, in ways that cut straight through bravado and engineering slides. Before we book tickets to the Red Planet, we need a frank, unsettling conversation about why Mars might not be a new homeland so much as a very unforgiving trap for our biology. Forget terraforming fantasies. With today's tech, a human mission to Mars looks less like exploration and more like a massive gamble. This isn't just about cold and thin air. We're talking radiation that chews up DNA, razor-fine poisonous dust. An atmosphere so thin, your body's fluids would vaporize. And the psychological toll of living in a tiny bubble millions of miles from help. The most dangerous things on Mars aren't monsters or movie-style storms. They're the planet's basic physics and chemistry, and they don't negotiate. Radiation is the blunt, invisible problem that keeps many experts up at night. Earth gives us a plush protective package, a strong magnetic field, and a thick atmosphere that shrug off most deadly space radiation. Mars has neither. Its global magnetic field died billions of years ago, and its atmosphere is less than 1% of Earth's density. The surface is effectively exposed to the galaxy. There are two main offenders for astronauts. First, galactic cosmic rays, GCRs, high-energy atomic nuclei hurled across the galaxy by ancient supernovas. These particles are powerful enough to punch through spacecraft hulls and human tissue, breaking DNA strands as they go. Second, solar particle events, SPES, unpredictable bursts from the sun that can dump huge doses of protons in hours, causing acute radiation sickness. Numbers matter here. During transit, NASA's Radiation Assessment Detector, RAD, measured roughly 0.67 millisieverts per day. On the surface, Curiosity's data show average doses closer to about 0.3 millisieverts per day, roughly 110 millisieverts per year, not the higher surface estimate sometimes quoted. Still, the cumulative exposure for a typical Mars mission, roughly 180-day transit, approximately 600-day surface stay, and 180-day return, is projected to exceed 1 sievert for many profiles. That's huge. NASA's career radiation limits for astronauts are set to keep the lifetime increased risk of fatal cancer to around 3%, and those limits vary by age and sex, roughly in the 600 to 1,000 millisievert range. A single Mars trip would exceed those limits for most people. The risks aren't just cancer. High doses are linked to central nervous system effects, cognitive decline, heart disease, early cataracts, and immune system damage. Lab studies suggest radiation exposures relevant to Mars missions can severely impair hematopoietic stem cells, the bone marrow cells that make blood, potentially cutting their function dramatically and leaving crews immunocompromised. Shielding is the obvious answer, but it's brutally expensive in mass. Stopping GCRs effectively would require meters of heavy material, which we can't launch easily today. Burying habitats helps, but the crew still has to travel there, walk on the surface, and survive solar storms in transit. As physicist Marco Durante bluntly put it, as it stands today, we can't go to Mars due to radiation. It would be impossible to meet acceptable dose limits. That's not fatalistic theatrics, it's a reality check. If radiation doesn't finish you, the ground might. Mars's famous red dust is everywhere, and it's nasty in ways that go beyond cosmetics. Without oceans to lock sediments away, wind has ground rock into particles much finer than terrestrial beach sand. Think powder, finer than talc. The Phoenix lander found perchlorates in Martian soil, around 0.5 to 1% by weight. Perchlorates are chemically reactive salts. They're clearly toxic if ingested and can disrupt thyroid function by interfering with iodine uptake. Inhalation risks are less well studied and probably not as acutely toxic as swallowing perchlorate salts, but the long-term effects are uncertain. The dust also contains high levels of crystalline silica and traces of heavy metals. On Earth, silica dust causes silicosis when inhaled over time. On Mars, the dust's tininess and chemical reactivity make it even more dangerous. When these particles hit the tiniest amounts of water or bodily fluids, they can form reactive molecules that damage lung tissue. Microscopic grains could lodge deep in lungs, cause chronic irritation, and potentially enter the bloodstream. And this dust is invasive. The particles are electrostatically charged and cling to everything: suits, seals, filters, electronics. It's like trying to remove glitter. Once it's in, it's everywhere. Airlocks and cleaning systems will help, but they won't be perfect. Even tiny amounts tracked into a habitat could mean persistent respiratory exposure and abrasive wear on critical systems. Dust storms make the problem worse. Mars's thin air means wind force isn't the same as Earth's for a given speed, but those winds can loft enormous volumes of that toxic powder. Regional storms can last weeks. Global storms can envelope the planet for months. That dust scours seals, scratches visors, infiltrates joints, and, crucially, blankets solar panels. Remember opportunity? In 2018, a global dust storm cut its sunlight off, and the rover died. For humans, a similar power loss means losing heat, life support, and communication. Trapped millions of miles from help, a crew could face a slow mechanical death. There's a more immediate killer. Mars's atmosphere is essentially a vacuum compared to Earth's. Average surface pressure on Mars is about 0.6% of Earth's sea level pressure, roughly 0.6 kilopascals. Far below the Armstrong limit, about 6.3 kilopascals, where bodily fluids start to boil at body temperature. That leads to ebullition, and it's as nasty as it sounds. If someone were suddenly exposed to the Martian air without a suit, saliva, tears, and the fluid lining the lungs would start to boil. Dissolved gases in blood would come out of solution and form bubbles, causing embolisms. Soft tissues would swell from vapor formation. The lungs would hemorrhage as delicate alveoli tear. Consciousness would be lost in under 15 seconds because of oxygen deprivation, and death would follow within a minute or two from the combined effects. That timeline gives you no time to improvise. A spacesuit isn't optional, it's a miniature lifeboat. Mars is also cold. Average temperatures hover around minus 62 degrees Celsius, and nights or polar winters plunge below minus 150 degrees Celsius. Extreme cold and near vacuum make materials brittle. Seals get stiff, fabrics crack, and the ever-present abrasive dust accelerates wear. One puncture, one worn seal, one failed zipper, and you don't have every second available to fix it. Engineering has to be flawless, and even then, there's no margin for human error. Say you beat the radiation, breathe clean air, and keep your suit intact. There's still a less tangible, but equally lethal risk: your own head. A Mars mission would be the most prolonged, extreme isolated environment humans have ever attempted. Imagine months cramped in a spacecraft, then a year or more on a barren plane, all with a communication delay up to 22 minutes each way. You can't just pick up a phone and call home. You can't get help that night. Ground studies give us a preview. In the Mars 500 experiment, a 520-day isolation simulation, a 6-person crew experienced real psychological strain. One crew member showed depressive symptoms in 93% of the weeks. Others suffered sleep problems, mood swings, fatigue, and social withdrawal. Tasks got harder. Small conflicts ran hotter, and personal space became sacred and limited. On Mars, a slip in judgment isn't a personal mistake, it's a collective threat. The third quarter phenomenon, seen in long missions and polar expeditions, points to a mid-mission morale crash. Excitement fades, boredom and resentment grow, and the end still feels distant. Exercise, structured schedules, VR, and private space help, but they don't erase the fundamental reality. You're a tiny crew inside a fragile shelter on a planet sized to kill you multiple ways. That kind of pressure fries nerves and frays teamwork. Connect the dots, and the Mars dream starts to look less like destiny and more like a serious test of hubris. Radiation, toxic dust, near vacuum exposure, and psychological breakdown, each is a mission killer. Together, they form a web of danger that amplifies itself. A solar storm during a dust emergency could strand a crew. Dust could wear down a suit that then fails against the thin atmosphere. Isolation could lead to an error with life or death consequences. Mars is not a welcoming place. Without breakthroughs in shielding, propulsion, habitat design, and crew support, sending humans there is more than risky. It borders on reckless. We should explore, yes, but we should do so with clear eyes, not under a red-tinged sunset filtered through wishful thinking.